Welcome everyone. It's great that I have the chance to tell you a bit about our work and show you some pictures of the things we've been getting up to. Um, we're here, of course, because of the Great Green Macaw and endangered parrots in general, but the Great Green Macaw in particular at the moment. And they're just magnificent, and they're actually a really amazing flagship species for the rainforest because they're brightly colored, they're easily visible, they're loud, they let you know when they're coming, and so people can connect to the macaws. And through our efforts to save the macaws, we can save an amazing amount of biodiversity, variety of species. And that's why macaws are so much better than other species like jaguars. Okay, they might be pretty, they might look good, but really they suck as flagship species because you're never going to see one. Whereas macaws, as we all know, are amazing. So that's my bit for macaws. And the Great Green Macaw is very tied to the mountain almond. This is a mountain almond nut. It's a massive tree, a hardwood tree with these incredibly hard nuts. And the macaw has evolved, even among macaws, the beak, the lower mandible in particular, is just really massive. And they're also nesting in the mountain almond tree. So these trees are really important, and they're just one part of the incredible rainforest that the Great Green Macaw calls home. And this is part of the Sarapiquí forest. It's actually not our reserve. Our reserve is just over this hill over here. But it's this incredible forest that it's the stuff of storybooks. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. It's an amazing experience to spend time in this forest. And when we protect the Great Green Macaw's home, we're protecting the home of so many species. But it's under threat, of course. As we all know, there's logging, selective logging for big hardwood trees like this. This was actually an illegal shipment of wood that we happened to come across, and were later asked to share this picture. And this was one when I was adventuring in the rainforest. There was a group of guys, and it was particularly dodgy looking, and they were acting very suspicious. And I'm quite certain this was also an illegal activity. So it's happening even now, and the extent to which it's happened since the 1940s is really quite dramatic. So I'll click through these. This is 1940. The black, this is the outline of Costa Rica, with the black being primary forest, which over the years we've lost. It's become reduced very dramatically down into the late 80s and then some recovery into the 90s. We want to see this recover better. But right now, there are big areas that look like this, particularly, again, these hills in the background here. This is our reserve. And this is just pineapple monoculture, which is like a desert for most of the species that should be found in the rainforest. It really offers nothing for them. So that the pineapple is just an example of an alternative land use that's very clearly detrimental for all the ecosystem. The mountain almond tree was protected, and so then what happened is that the tree ended up being those trees were left, but all the other trees were cut down. And so this is one that really stands out for me. This is my Land Rover and the team. And what you may not have noticed is the person that's up in the tree here checking a macaw nest. That gives you a sense of scale how big these trees are. They're enormous. And but this is actually a really sad photo because if we think about the rainforest and think about those other non-parrots, things like monkeys, there is never going to be monkeys swinging through the canopy of this tree ever again, unless we can restore this forest and connect it back to the continuous forest. But at the moment, this tree is a living dead. Basically, it's standing on its own, and it's a real tragedy. So it's something we're really passionate about restoring forest, and also these trees fall into ill health when they're just stood on their own, and they need the forest to survive. The impact isn't just a thing of the past. This is I'm actually up the tree here. These are my ropes here in the middle of the picture. That's me. That's my leg hanging under the branch. As I'm checking a nest, and the workers on this particular farm were going below the nest, clearing the land with a bulldozer. So this really hit home how this is happening right now. This is still an ongoing threat. Um, so we took action, and we've established our rainforest reserve, and everything that you see in this photograph, near enough everything is in, apart from the very far distance over here. We don't own everything, but all of this forest here and the pasture is in the rainforest reserve, and that's a relatively immediate thing you can do to protect the forest. So this forest is now protected, and thanks to the amazing support of donors and our supporters, and we want to do more of this. But there are other ways to protect the forest. But the thing is, we've got these bits of pasture, and we want to reforest those and restore the habitat. The reserve itself is stunning, and there's just these beautiful places in the reserve, and there's just incredible wildlife there as well. I don't, does the sound come through? Can you nod, Kerry? You're not getting the sound. Okay. So this is a video I took with audio that recorded that shows the different chorus at the dawn, and then into the day, as for initially howler monkeys, and then later on there's the poison dart frogs are chirping away. And this is right on our reserve, and this is the nest tree that's on the reserve with is one of the nest trees with the Great Green Macaw female going down into her nest. And for me, this is what it's all about. We're there for the Great Green Macaw. But when I was there to film those drone images, I actually had a really amazing encounter with some spider monkeys, and they were zooming through the trees. It was incredible to watch how they just zoom around, and their tail is very prehensile. There's a tiny baby on the side of that mama there. This guy's going to make a jump, and they're just incredible athletes. Really amazing. And the thing is, it really hit home for me there that when we're doing this work, how important it is for all these other non-parrots, this other biodiversity. And there is a ton of it in the forest. These are footage from camera traps. That was a female tapir, and a few moments later, a male goes past. These are just camera trap footage that we've recorded different places on the site. This is a coyote, and this is this is like one of the dogs, but it's just not as good. This is an ocelot. This one is a jaguarundi. It's a small black cat. It's got a big head and a little tail. But this one is a giant weasel with a little head and a great big tail. And then possum. And then I joke this mammal must be a zebra because it's got black and white stripes. And then a dodgy group of raccoons, but they're really fun. And we also got some video of one of the big birds. This is about the size of an American turkey. It's a great curassow, and they're really stunning. And it's the birds that are really cool, and they come in all shapes and sizes. We've got red ones, orange ones, yellow ones, green ones, white ones. We've even got black ones that have got funky headgear on. And this is an endangered species. So white, black, we've got grey ones with a hint of blue, blue ones with grey, blue with red legs, blue with yellow legs, blue and yellow ones. And then we've got, of course, the toucans with all the colours. And so all of these birds are on the reserve, and it's really quite special to get to see them on a regular basis. But there's actually some really interesting birds that connect where many of you are in North America and up even into Canada. And I think we had somebody sign up who was in BC. Right now in North America, in certain areas, this guy, the Swainsons Thrush, will be chirping away and singing their song, and it's a beautiful upward spiraling melody that is very much for me is something that is um, very much the sound of the early summer in North America. And these guys actually migrate down and will spend their winters in our reserve. So um, the great thing about North America is that there's lots of protected areas and these birds are protected. But what is becoming more and more apparent is that we need to protect them in their wintering habitat as well, because if you don't have that, then you're going to lose the birds. Oh, oh, but you're not getting the sound, so I just the audio came through. So, we've been doing habitat restoration work for some time now. These are our women rangers, and they've led efforts to do habitat restoration. And they've learned all about how to manage a nursery, and they've been collecting seeds from the rainforest and growing all sorts of different plants. Um, this is just them at work doing planting out. So this is a what would we call this? A sort of a germination pot. I forget the term that we use, but so generally is picking out the seedlings and then they're getting potted up. Um, We've also been working for many years now with the landowners at different areas, and this was an event we had where we brought several of them together, and we were giving them all plants and things like that, and we've worked on their properties to do reforestation. This is Gendry again, and this is a tree that was planted, and this is 3 years old. So it's really amazing how quick some of these trees can grow, and that gives us a lot of hope for the effectiveness of reforestation. And so now when we look at our reserve, this is the map. The blue line obviously marks the boundary. It took the team ages to paint that, but I think it was totally worth it. Um, and so all this pasture here is area that we want to reforest. And so I was going to show you. So if we look here, the drone is going to be somewhere here, and it's looking to the sort of the northeast, and particularly this area down here, and then across the river, there's some more pasture here. So this next photo is going to show you that this is the pasture going up to the northeast, and the river is here, and then this is some other pastures. So these are some of the areas that we're reforesting. This is a bit marshy. We've got to see what's possible in terms of putting trees in there. But it's very exciting because I'm hoping that in the future I'm going to be able to show you a photograph from the same location where this is all going to be trees. This is all going to be reforested. And this is just one of the trees. So there's actually a human here. Just you can just see at the bottom. This is a fully grown human and a normal size, and then dwarfed by this incredible rainforest tree. So we want to fill in all of this space with other trees that can then complete the forest. So we've now supersized our nursery size, and this is the Women Rangers nursery is in one location. This is another one of our. This is the other nursery, and this is more for the older plants. The hard work of germination and so on goes on in the first nursery. And now that we have more capacity, we're going to be reforesting on the reserve. But here's another picture. This was as we were getting into. This is actually the nursery from the outside with the shade netting. But as we were getting set up, Mario, I guess, spilled a seed, and then this mountain almond tree grew. He saw it as a young seedling, but then decided to leave it. This tree is 5 years old. It's just astonishing to me how quickly they can grow. Because what happens in a rainforest is there's a lot of young trees under the canopy waiting, and then when a big tree falls over, there's a race to get to the canopy to claim it. So they can grow very fast, and that's really going to serve us well in when we want to do reforestation. So here we are again. The drone was here when we looked at that last photo, looking to the northeast with these pastures here. We've mapped out the pastures that we want to reforest. We've actually done number 7 already, and we're working our way round. And these are just the different areas. And step by step, we're going to be doing the reforestation of these areas, removing fencing that's barriers for tapir and other species. Mostly the tapir because they're so big. And when we remove the barriers and allow the animals to move around, the tapirs are known as the gardeners of the rainforest. So they will help with the completion of the restoration because they're going to fill in different seeds in different areas as they poop as they go around. We had visitors joining us recently, and I don't actually think they're on the call. Oh, that's a shame. Well, this is our team and visitors joining us in this is in one of the nurseries, gathering up trees to plant, and then going into the field with the team. We transporting the plants into the reforestation sites is kind of tricky. And then we're measuring out the distances between where we're planting the trees so that we're not just crowding the trees in. And then it's hard work, digging the holes, putting the trees in. And then we actually use cardboard to protect the tree and reduce competition in the immediate area while it's trying to establish its roots. And they really, I missed that one. I was gonna joke. And then we went for lunch, and when we came back, the tree was already grown like Jack and the Beanstalk or something. But yeah, this is what we're hoping to see, these buttress roots, big old trees. This little guy is going to turn into one of these big old trees, which will be amazing. When we do this, we're reconnecting areas of forest, and it's not critical for the macaws in terms of what they need on a day-to-day basis, but the macaws need a functioning ecosystem with all the pieces of the puzzle so that that ecosystem continues into the future. So even though the macaws can fly and jump across the fields of pasture, ultimately we want the functioning ecosystem because that benefits all the species in there. So right now, this area of forest is a bit of an island, and we want to reconnect it to this band of forest that runs diagonally here. So when we reforest this area and bridge this gap here, we're going to make it possible for animals that some species just don't want to be exposed. They don't want to go into a field. A tapir might walk across a field if it can get through the fence and so on, and the cats will as well. But there's probably species, well, no, there are species, I don't know particular examples of the species, but in nature, there are species that will not cross these areas. And certainly there's birds that won't cross these areas. So then you have challenges with the population that's left in here. If let's say it's a species of wren that doesn't go into the open, then the population is going to dwindle in here unless we can reconnect it. So having more connected forest is really important. And when we zoom out, we see this is the same. This is our forest again here, our reserve. And here we see that band of connected forest that comes all the way through here, and it goes and continues down and it continues through here. This is swampland area here. So when we can connect this up, it helps bring it together. And we're looking to connect all of these dots and make sure that we get the biggest patch of connected forest we can. These yellow areas are areas of forest that are around our reserve that are for sale. And we're looking at possibilities to secure, if we can negotiate good prices, and then secure other areas and enlarge the reserve. And then if we zoom out even further, we've got the reserve here. The white lined areas are national protected areas, national parks, and then the light blue areas are private protected reserves. And this is not the complete list of protected areas, but the Great Green Macaws, this is the border with Nicaragua, the river here, and this is Nicaragua. It's the Indo-Manis Reserve, but unfortunately the Indo-Manis Reserve is getting encroached and being fragmented. But this area here is where the Great Green Macaws breed, and we want to protect that whole area. So on the smallest scale, we want to reconnect the forest in here. When we step back, we want to make sure this band of connected forest remains intact. But then we're even looking, well, how can we connect these areas together to make a bigger protected area? And that's an initiative that we're developing strategies for and looking, and that's going to come through partnerships. It's not just that we can own all of that land. That would be kind of ridiculous. But we can partner with other private reserves and collectively have an effort to protect a large area of rainforest. And we believe that we're in a unique position where we can drive that initiative and bring people together. And that's how we're going to secure much more forest. And then we can work with those landowners as we increase our capacity for restoration, and we can support them in the restoration of their pasture areas if that's of interest to them. The Great Green Macaw moves around seasonally, and so if I just jump back again, this is the breeding area, but several of the, well, most of the pairs in this area move when it's the non-breeding season. And the next photo with a group of macaws was taken somewhere up here in the foothills, because there's a band of mountains at the bottom of the picture here. And in sort of September and October, we know that the macaws are down here and they're over here. They're even further off, further to the south. And so that's very interesting to us because while we're protecting nest sites, which are critically important and very, very limited in number, we need to protect those ancient trees. We also need to look at the other areas the birds are going, much like the Swainsons Thrush, that's migratory. We need to look at all the areas the Great Green Macaw needs and make sure that we're protecting those. But we need to learn where they're going. So this is one of our research projects at the moment, where the north of Costa Rica has got the measles, but each of those areas, I think that's mute. Okay. Each of these areas has an audio recorder, and we're tracking where the birds move across the landscape. And this is cutting edge science, as you can see, because we're involving duct tape. And we strap these recorders to the tree. Mario and the team go out and set these up. And we're sampling certain times of the day to see if there are macaws in that area. And that gives us an idea of where they're going on the map at different times of the year. And we're hoping to refine that study over time. And that tells us where the birds are going, but then we need to look at what food is in those areas that if that might be driving this migratory behavior. So right now on our reserve, we're mapping the individual trees. We've got a guy called Hunter who's come out with his big fancy drone and all this tech, super, super cool stuff. And he's flying the drone over the canopy, and it's got a very high resolution imagery gadget that is going to tell us, well, we're going to be able to see if we can identify individual tree species from flying the drone over the canopy. And so we can then map. Essentially, if we could do this across the whole range of the Great Green Macaw, we could identify every individual tree and map them. And that's just incredible data. And then we tie that in with understanding when the different trees are producing food. So this is the mountain almond tree that has the nest that's on the reserve, and this is it in bloom. And mountain almonds are absolutely stunning. When they bloom, they're going this incredible purple. And then, of course, the trees produce these nuts, which is so important for the macaws to feed on. So we need to understand where the birds are going and when, and then where the food is and when it's producing food. So we've had the team going out, and they're not actually looking at birds in this picture. They're looking at the trees and trying to understand, trying to record what different tree species are doing at different times of the year. When does this tree flower and produce seeds? When does this tree flower and produce seeds? So that's just part of our research, which is going to ultimately tell us where the birds are and if that movement is driven by the food. And potentially it will tell us that there is a limited food availability at certain times of the year, and it might tell us that there are limited numbers of a particular tree species in a particular area, and so we can do targeted reforestation to restore the balance of different tree species in any particular area. So it's going to be really powerful data if we can bring all of that together. Just take a swig of tea. So, the Macaw Recovery Network, we work with the birds, with the habitat, and the people. And that's presented in that way because it also relates to the timeline. The macaws are going extinct. We know that if we don't do anything, it's that they're almost certainly going to go extinct. So there's an extreme urgency there to address the number of macaws. And so we're doing hands-on work to do that. We're doing research to understand what's limiting them. We're doing reintroduction work, and we're hoping that then we can turn their population trend around and increase the number of birds. When we do that, we need to make sure that there's somewhere for them. So we need to work with the habitat. That's why we're protecting what habitat is left and restoring the habitat. But there's no point doing that unless we're safeguarding that habitat into the future. And that's where the people come in. And so we need to work with the local community and find ways to enable them to see the value of the forest. We shouldn't burden them with the global obligation to protect forest. I mean, I'm from England where we cut down all of our trees, and it's not the obligation of local people in the global south to maintain the forests for the world. We've got to find a way to address that, and carbon credits and biodiversity credits may be one of those ways. But we need to also help them to feel the sense of intrinsic value of the forest that we feel as well. So we're working with the people that are living in this area and then looking at ways to bring economic value to them as well. But it goes from working with the young kids, getting them excited about parrots, talking about environmental science, environmental challenges, ecosystems, the broader picture of conservation, not just specific to the macaws. And then we've even had young students who have come and done their work placement in high school with us, and they were great kids, and they came and they worked in the nursery and did the reforestation work as well. And then as as the Women Rangers program develops, they're finding new ways to engage people and to show what they're doing, through which they also get status because they're now being recognized as leading women that are leading efforts in their community, and it's just really cool to see how they've also flourished. We also actively engage the communities around the reserve, and we're looking to involve them in the planning for the reserve and the future management of the reserve. And this is really important because the reserve has all those threats that we talked about, and we there is a place for protection, and that's in this kind of context, it's the words escape me tonight. There is the fortress model of conservation. If you think about elephants and the efforts that elephant conservationists have to go to protect those elephants from being poached, this is very much the fortress model where you're keeping the people away from the species that needs protecting. But if we liken this to Robin Hood and the Sheriff of Nottingham, the Sheriff of Nottingham was never going to beat Robin Hood because he had the will of the people. He had the support of the people. So there is the protection piece, which is the Sheriff of Nottingham. But ultimately, we need to be like Robin Hood, and we need to inspire the community to want to protect the forest. And when we have the community on our side, the need for protection will be far less. So engaging local community members in this work is really important. We've now just recently expanded our Women Rangers program, and we're taking on a new cohort of women. These women live in the village immediately next to our reserve. And they've obviously had a bit of fun as they've got started with the Women Rangers program. And now they look super tough in their fieldwork gear out in the field. And it's just really it's really amazing to see these women really grow in their roles and to just see that they can do this stuff and how awesome they can be. It's really cool, and I love to see that progression. We're excited to have them join the team, and we're growing our team for restoration as well. So that's up in the north of Costa Rica. Our work's up here at the moment, but these purple dots are the range of the Great Green Macaw. And so we're talking at multiple scales. We're talking about reforesting the reserve, which is where we're at right now. We're talking about, can we build a collaborative protective effort to secure the rainforest in the north of Costa Rica? But then, I can't help but think, wouldn't it be amazing if we could find ways to connect the population of macaws? We're not going to have birds flying all the way, but restore this connectivity through Panama into Colombia. That would be tremendous. And as we said, the macaws don't need continuous forest for that to actually happen. But in terms of the health of the population, that would be monumental. And so that kind of big picture idea is what really excites me, and something that I want to be looking to in the future. We didn't make this mess in just 5 years, and when we look back to those maps I was showing, the deforestation started in the 1950s, so that's 75 years ago. We're not going to turn it around in 5 years. If we step back and think, well, what might we want to aim for in 75 years, then suddenly this doesn't seem too ridiculous an idea, at least not to me. And so that's something that I want to be working for, which will be beyond my lifetime, of course, and probably beyond all of our lifetimes. And but wouldn't it be amazing to leave that as a legacy? In order to do that, we're already making efforts. This is Pamela and Elena, who took a trip over to Colombia to see one of our partner organizations that works with Cottontop tamarinds. They're also collected for trade, so in many ways they're very similar to the parrots. They're impacted by habitat loss and impacted by trade, and they've been doing habitat restoration as well. So we were learning from their experience. We hope to host them on our site sometime in the future. But we've also done this before, where we've had interns join our team, and we've run different sorts of training events. And this is something that I see in the future of MRN, because when we can increase the team of conservationists working on this stuff, that's how we're going to achieve range-wide impact, an impact across the Americas. And that's what we need to do. It's okay for us to start reforesting this small area of pasture, But we've got to be thinking bigger. And how do we get to that scale? Well, it's not just going to be the MRN staff that do it. It's not that MRN is going to own all of that land. It's that we need to secure partnerships and add to the capacity through skill building of the conservationists in the region. And then that's when we get to that big scale. And that's how we're going to protect and safeguard the future for great green macaws and other parrots.